Go. Hey Justin, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Not much, not much. We are deep into season 3 here. This is
Episode
State of the
4.
Giants. Yes. What's that? Sorry.
Episode 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, episode 4. This is State of the Giants. I'm Mike, and I have my co-host Justin, and we are covering the season 3 premiere and viewing of the boys. In any case, this one was crazy. What were your thoughts? And just to kind of set it up from the first 3 episodes, and if you haven't watched, you should go watch our first episode where we cover those 3 episodes. So, and we'd also love if you commented, liked, and subscribed, and let us know how we're doing. And if you want to see more or less or whatever, we'd love to oblige. But in any case, now we have rolled off of the power structures were completely inverted compared to season 1 and 2, and now we're actually has completely shifted, and now it's hardening essentially over the course of this episode. What were your thoughts on this week's episode?
Really, really, really good episode. Ends on a cliffhanger. That's really exciting. So that makes you want to tune in the next week and see what's going on. Like, I definitely want to know what's going to happen next. There were a couple of really big things that happened at the end of the episode, but then there were some other pretty big things that happened throughout. It was something. It was pretty intense.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was some good comedy as well.
Yeah, there was some comedy. Yeah, there was some scenes with some interesting weaponry with the forget her character's name, Kimiko, I think. Yeah, Kimiko, the female, but she's like this Wolverine type character minus the claws, just really super tough, durable character.
Never thought of her like that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, that's how I kind of see her, or I don't know. Maybe you could probably claim Sabretooth too.
No, I think that works. I think that works with minus the claws. I mean, we've already seen the character with claws in the series, but I mean,
yeah, and we also see the after effects. I think we were seeing the after effects of this temporary V with Billy Butcher.
Yes.
And he's trying to keep it secret from the team. Just for team cohesion, to keep the boys together and all that. And we hop around a lot. And I want to get into the Russian part later on here in a bit. But what were your thoughts on Urban having this dilemma of, these are the vigilantes, the boys are, and they're going after these super corrupt superheroes that are just horrible and evil and heinous. They don't even care. And then he has to lower himself to become a supe. What were your thoughts on that, kind of how that played out as the season progresses?
You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. Yeah, he's definitely becoming the thing that he hated because he felt like he didn't have any choice. And I guess that's a pretty human sort of philosophical dilemma. Like, how far do you go before you become what you hate? Do the means, do the ends always justify the means? So yeah, he's definitely going through a dilemma, and he's still got other doses of the V, so who knows what happens. Kind of like you could maybe see it almost as like a metaphor for drug addiction or for steroid usage, that sort of thing. That desire to be the best, that desire to be on top, the desire to have, if you can, an advantage over the other people out there, because maybe they are just maybe naturally more advantaged than you are.
Right. Yeah. To level the playing field. And honestly, the team is, there is this kind of subplot, and I did want to touch on one part for the whole Super V thing. Like we're starting to kind of see whose power does what, and like power in a way, kind of sort of power scaling to kind of figure out who these what the limits of certain folks' power were. We found that out in season 2 for sure. without giving anything away. But you see the end result of that with Stormfront. But you have this confrontation here, and there's a huge reveal, as we go through toward the end. And that I don't. We'll see if we have to touch on that too much or not. I don't want to spoil things too much, but I do want to talk about them in depth. But you kind of see this power scaling where you have the congressional character, you have her character, and what is her name? Vicky. I think it's Vicky.
Victoria Newman.
Right, and I don't know what her code name is or whatever. I'm not nerdy enough to know that. But in any case, her power is that she can pop heads. I'm not quite sure what that's called, but literally, your head will explode at anybody. And she has a conversation with a forced conversation. Let's say, pretty much, I think from everything from this point on, anything to do with Homelander is forced. Nobody wants that. You're effectively coerced because of who he is and what he is. And he kind of challenges her to go ahead, try. Would it work? Let's figure it out. Like he's that arrogant. And I would kind of assume that maybe she would have the ability to kind of pop his head, but when you think about it, I don't want to get too nerdy about it, but I do want to get a little nerdy. Going into that, it'll be curious to see how that holds up. And then likewise, as a perfect analog, of course, for this show, you have Karl Urban. Billy Butcher's looks like his superpowers very eerily mirror Homelander's, minus maybe the flying. But
literally becoming the thing that he hates the most.
Yeah, and he might just be the only way to take out Homelander, because that's no big secret. Homelander is effectively the grand,
right. He's the most powerful soup, and she can't. I don't think that she can actually pop his head. I think that Homelander is essentially invincible. The big analogy that people like to use is that Homelander's like Superman, but the difference is Superman has a very clear weakness, and at least we the readers, we know about it. And it seems like everyone who hates Superman also knows about it. So there's actually something you can do, and apparently something that is easy enough for his nemesis to get, that Superman has a weakness. So he has a humanity to him, not only obviously because of the way he was raised, but also because he has this sort of human flaw. Homelander doesn't have that. He doesn't have humanity from his childhood, and he doesn't have any weakness. He's a god.
Yeah. It's essentially, he walks around like a god. I mean, that's the closest humanity could consider a god, like where you can literally do anything you want. There's no
spoiler anymore, because the whole arc of this season is about trying to find the idea that there might be this thing out there that could kill Homelander, or at least weaken him enough that they could then use some other type of power to like overcome him. So that's really the whole arc. That's the whole kind of basis for what's going on this season.
Very true. Yeah. And we're seeing that. And of course, they find out that there may or may not have been this secret weapon that the Russians had. I'm kind of pivoting here a little bit, but I agree. In order to take him out, because he is seemingly invincible, they kind of figure out this backstory for Soldier and this other alternative superhero team that was the superhero team before the Seven replaced it, surpassed it, supplanted it. Seems like they think there may or may not be.
I want to sort of reverse a little bit, walk back a little bit what I just said. As we saw this episode, Homelander kind of does have a weakness, and it was definitely exploited in this episode. You remember that there is someone that even Homelander kind of fears.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. There is it'll be interesting to see. What are your thoughts though? Like, go ahead, open up that thread.
Yeah, so it seems that Homelander, as a character, I guess he kind of does have a kryptonite. His kryptonite is just kind of his crippling desire, like need to be
Yeah.
loved. He'll
Yeah,
accept
that's true.
fear,
That's
but
true.
fear
That's
is
true.
not as satisfying to him as love is. He
Yeah,
wants to be adored and just beloved by everyone.
Yeah, he wants to be worshipped. He really
Wants to be
does think he is a god. Yeah, good point. Yeah, he does. That is his weakness. So that it's not a tangible one like a kryptonite, something like Superman, like where it's clear cut and wonderfully black and white, like comic books can be, and as they were in their or they can be anyway, or they were when they started out. It's a lot more wholesome stories and whatever. But in any case, this is and the whole thing is this whole premise is opposite of that. So it's like, what happens when you do have somebody like that? And that is true. It looked like he kind of fell off a cliff, but apparently he found some kind of footing and said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to just be myself and just do what I want to do. And he essentially says that. And it is kind of funny how he, there's this dichotomy with him and Stormfront, like where it's very unacknowledged. It's an unacknowledged kind of superiority, but not from the standpoint of how that particular group of people that Stormfront represented were, but more along the lines of he is a god, and everything and everybody is below him. Period. Yeah, everybody's an ant, but
Right.
he hasn't got to the point to like where he's like a kid just stepping on ants. But
he's entertained it.
Damn close. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Absolutely. It's been like
He's entertained it in a very, very vocal fashion. Yes, you remember. If we flash back to season 2, we get to see this very kind of horrific scene that is taking place in his imagination, and that's something he can do and has threatened to do.
Yeah, he's essentially pushed through Starlight's threats, and that he is quickly slipping the leash, if there ever was one, for him, whether it was Vought controlling him or some other external blackmail type situation or extortion type thing of like, if you do this, we're going to release this and we're going to kill your image. And he kind of pushed through that and was like, go ahead. Go ahead. You don't think that I'll have the Eastern Seaboard sewed up or whatever he said. I don't know, but he's threatened it. And now I think we're getting to a critical part, like where this is very serious and there's no more leashes on him, and essentially he's basically told by Vought that, well, we're not going to clean up your messes anymore. Like, so that could be a thing that he has to fix or encounter that could look or ruin him. But oh man, anyway, but going back to Homelander and his weakness of just wanting to be adored and loved and nurtured and all this missing maternal paternal thing that he never had. He was a test tube humanity, essentially. You can't grow character or that in a tube, apparently. at least if Vought is to blame. Anyway, we find our heroes or our anti-heroes in Russia to go and look for this machina.
Call it a soup
device.
gun.
Right. Yeah, soup gun. Yeah, to take him down. Some kind of weapon that could potentially even kill or seriously injure Homelander. And it was interesting, and they found something completely unexpected, I think. And I wasn't quite sure where they were going to take it, but it was very interesting. And what were your thoughts on that particular part of the episode?
Which part of the episode was this now? You were kind of, I know you're trying not to spoil it, but what's that?
Yeah, when they broke into the Russian facility or some such thing, and they are looking for this device, and they come across something pretty big, something that's been hinted at, I think, because we opened the episode with Soldier Boy doing some kind of like a infomercial type telethon, I guess. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, so he was I know they opened the episode, so that was it was an episode, so it was like a fake episode of Solid Gold. Solid Gold was kind of like it was like a music television show back in the late 70s, early 80s. Like, so people who are of a certain age, they're not, or didn't watch a lot of TV when they were a kid, didn't have access to television like that.
Right.
They're not going to understand the idea that there were just these shows that were on network television. Maybe they came out on the weekends and it was just people dancing and listening to music. And then like an artist would come in and do a performance. So, and this of course is going to date us here. It's like the Saturday Night Live musical performance, but in a music platform. So that's what he's doing. So he was a big enough star that he would have been on like this very mainstream, very popular kind of music dance program.
Yeah, exactly.
But so the problem with the reveal, it wasn't as impactful as it could have been if they had. If I think as a whole, this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but I think as a whole, Amazon has done really, really good with their marketing game, like their social marketing game for sure.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep. Like there's all kinds of like little different bits and pieces that they're doing, and little like super high quality videos that are just ads for, or they're ads, but they're also sort of, I guess what do they call it in Japanese? They call it omake, like just kind of extra little Easter eggs for like the hardcore fans.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like introducing something that 3 episodes later, somebody on Are the Boys will be looking like, if you'd watched this video on YouTube like 3 weeks ago, they told us that this was going to happen. Like that type of like super hardcore fan Easter egg.
Yeah, and I have spotted, Amazon has done placements very lightly, I think, and there's probably a lot more. I haven't paid attention, but I saw 1 or 2 that I noted mentally, made a mental note of in the episode itself. So, go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to add that. I noticed
that's
that.
Cool. I was just gonna say that they telegraphed the ending before the season even started. Like I feel like that with the ads, it's very eye-catching, but they gave away a little bit too much, as I think all American media is prone to doing now, just giving away major story bits that would be absolutely amazing and much more impactful if you hadn't seen them 80 times in the ads before you go to watch a series or you go to the theater to watch a movie.
That's true. Yeah, they have to be careful with that because they'll easily tip over their own momentum for it. But apparently, kind of calling back to what you said, you're absolutely right about when it started, it was not as popular as it is now. I wouldn't say it's quite as popular as like Rick and Morty. If you remember, like way back when, like nobody knew about Rick and Morty, and then all of a sudden, it just blew up, and then it was it was caught in between like episode. There was just so much hype, and it was a little bit different too. But they hadn't even built the season out yet, and people were like, we want more Rick and Morty. It's not quite that big, I don't think, but it's. I wouldn't see that by the time this season is done. I could see like where it's just going to build. And so far so good. I also want to echo your comment. Like I can't wait to see the next episode.
Right.
For sure.
I think one great thing about The Boys, like I think each season's been 8 episodes.
This sounds right.
So,
I can definitely answer it.
So we're only then at the end of the season, if it's going to be. Yeah, go ahead and check that. But if it's 8 episodes, it's only going to have been, what's 8 times 3, 24. There's only going to have been 24 episodes. So it makes it much easier for someone to catch up.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good point too. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, gone are the days of, and I had this conversation with another person not too long ago, but gone are the days of 24 episode seasons, unless it's like anything outside the CW anyway, like like with the Flash or something like that, like where they just pump them out.
I think 8 to 12 is 8 to 12 is the general range now. I think like a normal streaming series or a normal television series would be, each season would be 12 episodes. There might be, or there, if it's prestige television or streaming television where you don't have to adhere to like TV seasons aren't really a thing anymore. Like I guess they technically still exists for people who are watching a lot of network TV, but I haven't watched network television in years, so I don't really adhere to season. It's like, oh, I heard that this thing that I've been looking forward to is the next season is coming this time, and I'll hear about it through various types of fan channels. But
That's true.
yeah, but you're right. So it's easy to keep up with. Also, for people who are, for lack of a better term, nerds, there's this whole kind of meta sort of like universe, or there's an extended universe around it. Obviously, you can read the comics. You can watch Diabolic. There's going to be another series. So like, there's an opportunity to kind of like fan out for this series, despite the fact that there's not a ton of content.
Yeah, I would hope, and this is what I think is ruined. Two things on that. One is just network TV. Essentially, for me, it's nostalgia at this point. It's almost like Nick at Night. It's almost like if I want to see King of Queens or something stupid like that, or Seinfeld, I will go search that out and I will find it and I will watch it and I'll enjoy it. But that's just because I want to. But it's very nostalgic, and it's kind of funny how that is now. It's just funny how viewing habits change across the board.
Although I wonder, and we can't get into this here today, but maybe this will be something for an extra episode.
Sure.
Could someone do like just a good old fashioned American sitcom? Like you could do it like as a old school 3-camera setup. If someone tried that, would they succeed? So
I don't know.
It's a conversation for another day, but
I don't know.
I feel like it's been long enough. There's an entire generation of people who never really got to experience that firsthand. So
yeah, I think that answer would lie in YouTube, and I'd say there's certain trends that transcend time on YouTube to a point. Maybe that'll become a thing. I don't know. Probably. Who knows?
Live action, of course. I mean, because you've got plenty of animated sort of Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, Family Guy. They basically follow that old school kind of 22 minutes and then back to the status quo type of continuity. So
I just wanted to make that observation, and then the other point I wanted to say is I think a lot is said, at least from my perspective, like in some realms, the marketing and the media creation, never mind the marketing, but the media creation, they don't seem to be in Disney money machine, printer go burr mode, like where they're just pumping out endless iterations of the boys, and I'm glad they haven't, because at least yet anyway. I mean, I'm sure they'll turn that corner. I mean, but I just, as a fan, I appreciate that. I appreciate that I'm not flooded with it, inundated with a flood of like nothing but the boys, or something like, and because it would just ruin it. There is such thing as saturation, but we're nowhere near that, I think. But marketing, that's a different game. But does that make sense?
It would be great if they didn't do that. But I think the big reason they're not doing that right now is because they can't. So you compare it to Rick and Morty. Personally, I feel like The Boys is even less mainstream than Rick and Morty. Like Rick and Morty has kind of worked its way to the mainstream.
Yes,
The Boys, and I know it's going to sound really lame to people who are in the know for this analogy, like if what I'm about to say, but like The Boys is kind of like got sort of a punk rock aesthetic. It's got the sort of like grungy bathroom at like the dive bar that sells like dollar tall boys kind of aesthetic. You know what I'm talking about. It's kind of got that feel, and I feel like that's gonna keep
hole in the wall
out of the true mainstream. You don't have to be mainstream to build an audience now. My guess is that from the fact that they've done the animated spinoff and they're gonna do this live action spinoff, the series is successful. They're making money. They're happy with I guess the amount of growth they're seeing, but like just because of some of particular very gory and kind of sort of non-polite humor that the series has, that's going to keep it from going to even where Marvel is, where Marvel has some non-polite humor, but it's very childish. It's very like, it's like a little
friendly.
It's like a 5-year-old talking about poo-poo,
Right.
Like that kind of like offensiveness. And I think that The Boys is a little bit sharper as far as its wit and the way that it cuts. I think that's a little bit at the same time it's a little bit rougher around the edge. It's not quite as kind of, I don't know, like middle suburban. It doesn't have that middle suburban feel that Marvel does.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah, it is kind of club
And I
feeling,
don't
I
say
guess.
that if anyone's watching, I'm not saying that middle suburban is it's like something bad. That's not a value
No,
judgment.
no,
It's
it's
just
just
that
another
there's a set
flavor
of
of
norms and it
media.
fits pretty squarely in those norms and maybe goes just enough outside of them that it maybe feels kind of it could potentially no, I take that back. No, there's nothing subversive about Marvel films. They're very, very they're I dare I say it, they're very Disney.
Yeah, no, I mean, and for better for worse, that's what you get.
Yeah.
You get your prepackaged. It's a formula, and I'm not saying that's bad at all.
No, it's not. That's also not a
it,
bad. That's not a value judgment.
no, absolutely not. I will absolutely once in a while I will enjoy something along those, or I will seek it out. But as far as like that, my current taste, I think that's why this is all more refreshing because it tells us the story of superheroes and whatnot.
Right.
Anyway, we're getting a little out there, but all in bringing it back.
The big reveal. It's cool. What's getting ready to happen now? I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what the secret weapon is. Now I understand what could potentially happen here. That's really interesting. But they telegraphed it, so it wasn't. As soon as I kind of put two and two together, which was very easy, it's like, oh, okay, this is what they're going to find, and well, I guess that makes sense for the story to go on, but it's not as exciting as it would have been if I hadn't constantly been told about it ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. And I also I think the amount of I obviously you want more, but again, I think the general theme that they play to for the most part is they're being a very good steward of their property for sure.
Yeah, not exactly the same.
More, let's just keep like God, please, let's just keep it like that for a little bit because God knows there's going to be a flood of whatever, and that just there's just so much out there that like I just don't have time. Like if I want to sit down and watch something, it's because I want to watch it. I don't want to mindlessly click through. My biggest problem with Netflix isn't that there isn't something to watch. It's that picking something, But then again, that's my fault, I guess. But then again, that was years ago, and I'm a fair weather fan. I don't know about you, but I'll drop. About the only thing that's constant is my Amazon because of Prime,
right.
bought. And I think you
got Vought Prime.
Yep, you actually made a killer point that I wanted to highlight and talk about a little bit too while we're on the topic of the broader scope of it. But you made the observation that essentially Vought is Amazon, or Amazon is turning into Vought or something. There's this weird. I don't know what you call it, not synergy or whatever, but there's this, you know what, that's probably a perfect word for it because it's very corporate-y.
Yeah, you have this weird paradox that you have this very kind of like sort of critique of big corporations and a critique of like just rampant capitalism, but it's made by like one of the biggest capitalist enterprises in the world.
Billion-dollar company,
billion-dollar company, massive merchandiser. Like I saw a joke on the internet today. Someone was like, well, they spent a lot on that prop from the first that scenery in the first episode. They're like, how much did they spend on that? But it's like probably less than Jeff Bezos spent on his last rocket. So
no kidding.
And I know he's not running the thing anymore, but like he's inextricably connected to that company. Steve Jobs has been dead for like a decade, but he is inextricably associated with that company being Apple. So
everybody. I mean, I wouldn't say everybody, but it's a good bet that if somebody knows Elon Musk, then they're probably also going to know a Jeff Bezos or something like that. But anyway, speaks to the popularity of the whole thing. I did not see one of the probably the biggest twist in the reveal. Like, I don't think we're not really giving anything away, but like kind of pivoting a little bit, moving through the episode here as we do. Soldier Boy is essentially still alive, whatever. Right. But In any case, there's an even bigger twist that I didn't see coming, that really solidifies Homelander's thing, and I'll just go with that, and I'll see if we talk around the edges of it or whatever. But essentially, it's very interesting how that is, and it's just interesting how that turned out. I didn't see it coming. I'll fully admit that I didn't see it coming.
I'm trying to figure out what it was.
Was Vicky? It had to do with Vicky.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
That type character had a press release essentially, where certain thing was going to happen, and it completely went a different direction that I didn't see coming. Anyway, the major characters didn't see.
I kind of understood that there was that possibility that this is what was going to come out. So I'm not trying to be like hipper than now or anything, but like after the events of episode 3, I was like, well, okay, that's a little bit of a surprise, but is it really, if you think about what's going on?
No, well, the thing I think that I kind of fell for, it was that they kind of paint Homelander as kind of dumb. They paint him as a kind of a dumb character sometimes, and occasionally they'll show that he is not dumb. That is just essentially he is, and I don't know what the psychological term, but psychopath or a sociopath, like essentially like where he knows how to imitate and mirror human emotion or certain kind of states of being, so to speak, if that makes any kind of sense. But it's just interesting how honestly, I didn't think that he had the brains to pull off the move that he made, to be honest with you. That's how I saw his character anyway. But so no, you're like, please go on. Like I didn't see it coming. Like, I mean, you could kind of see like where he can tweak the strings a little bit, but I didn't think that he would have the power or the know-how to, kind of go through it, because it just seems like he just kind of he does not lean on all his powers at all. He doesn't. I mean, he leans on them, but he has other ways. Like he knows how to be just as devious as every other human that you see in this thing at a higher level, for sure. But anyway, this is my.
It's more fun for him. It's more fun for him that way than just using brute force. If you know that you can brute force your way through anything, I guess that a lot of us would get bored of that, and we'd actually start coming up with like new and innovative ways to get what we wanted, because we know at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you know what? Why not take a couple seconds and try to have some fun, see what happens? Because at the end of the day, I've always got plan B, and plan B always works. It's never failed me. We got to see what Homelander can do to someone if plan A doesn't work. We got to see that this episode.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
I think also what we got to this episode was, I think I texted this to you, fuck A-Train. I don't think it's a huge spoiler.
No.
A-Train is a bad person. The show, I think, sometimes wants to make you kind of feel bad for A-Train, or it wants you to root for A-Train, and then it tells you why you shouldn't root for A-Train. So if you were someone out there and you were rooting for A-Train for whatever reason, the show is going to chastise you for that this episode. So
yeah, and boy, right after he had, I think probably his first dawn of the set or 7 meeting or whatever the hell they have up there on the top penthouse floor or whatever, in Vought Tower or whatever the hell they call it. But you see, once the Homelander pretty much just assumes the mantle of power and the mandate of power too, both are the same. They're both tied together with him. He owns them now. He is essentially he is the emperor. He is the emperor, all powerful, period, in discussion. And we see how quickly that mentality in the team devolves so quickly, so damn quick. As soon as they're done with the meeting, A-Train tries to say, hey, like, what if we do this or whatever? And essentially he gets stomped down. And then when the two are in the hallway, the deep, and who's like super, built up as a super lame, pathetic character, and some way somehow he has crawled his way back into very pathetically back into the seven, but they have it out, and just how quickly these people devolve into selfish, like squabbles. It's very interesting. It's like, essentially there is no team cohesion. It's all fear.
The Deep is a super lame character though. Like he is like just a super lame character. Remember, he's a parody of another
Yeah, that's true.
kind of lame character.
Right, yeah.
Like
Aquaman.
he's not a parody of like Jason Momoa Aquaman. He's a parody of like Super Friends Aquaman. Like
or just as lame Namor on the Marvel side too. Like that we can both give it to both of them.
I feel like Namor is actually less lame than Aquaman is.
That would be interesting to have. That might be an interesting show to have, like a spinoff, maybe a sub show or something that kind of talk about how they're parallel. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, he is essentially the lame real world character, and the A-Train. And the other thing too that we haven't absolutely confirmed. It's been hinted at and it's been talked about openly, but essentially is like A-Train is essentially no different than you or I. He's normal. He's become a normie. He doesn't have powers anymore, it seems.
He has powers, but he can still run, but at any time his heart could just explode. He explains that. I think he explained that in episode 3, or maybe talked about it early in episode 4. But basically, he can run, and he might be able to run another 5 times, or he may only run. His heart might explode the next time he runs. So basically, he's disabled. He still has his ability, but using it could kill him, which that brings another kind of dimension to like a superpower. What happens with a superpower that could kill you?
That's true. Yeah, and I just realized how you talk about it around it, but we saw the end result of Homelander, and I think I know how. Now it seems like A-Train. Seems like all roads lead to Rome, and Rome is Homelander. So it looks like maybe A-Train dimed out Supersonic or whatever.
That's absolutely what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as well by Chain, Starlight as well. But very interesting dynamic there. So essentially, Homelander he owns everything now. It's all gone, and then the boys also go through their Titanic, earthquake kind of shake up, like where I think they lose quite a bit of ties are cut almost, or it looks like that when the team essentially realizes that in fact not only did not well, I won't say they won because it's a lot more surprise. It's a lot more pathetic, I think. And I think that the Billy, but what I'm talking about is Billy Butcher getting super V powers, and it's revealed that he has that to his team, and they kind of like they lose. I think they lose. It's safe to say they lose faith in him.
They lose respect for him for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like
at the same time,
they all got out alive. So there is that. But that I think that's kind of Butcher's MO, which is eventually the end justify the means, maybe, which is interesting because Billy Butcher has essentially he is mirroring the spirit of Homelander in some aspects, which kind of makes this just kind of like how much will he degrade his humanity to take him out, but that's a whole other episode.
Which is interesting, just because that's a pretty good diversion from the comics, because I understand the comics aren't that thoughtful. It's more farcical. It's designed to shock. The television show will shock you. It wants to shock you, but it also wants, I dare say it wants you to think a little bit, or at least it doesn't make fun of you for thinking a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. I do think they want you to think, and I do think they want you to kind of present these. It's the whole premise of the show. It's like, well, what, there are these powerful beings, and they're, it's like essentially like what I think more what would happen in the real world than not, or that's the narrative anyway. That's the kind of the spirit, the the thrust of the whole thing. But anyway, this was just a great episode, and I need to. I can't wait for episode 5. Were there any other observations or things you wanted to get into?
I wanted to follow up on something I said last episode. Last episode we were talking about the idea of there being foreign superheroes. If it's anything like the comics, then there are no foreign superheroes. America is the only country that has superheroes, and there's a whole kind of propaganda aspect of that as well. So no one else has until Compound V escaped out into the wild. There were no foreign superheroes, which is why when that happens in season 2, that's why it's such a big deal.
Right, and I think that was Homelander's doing too, wasn't it? Or whose doing was that? Who
I
leaked that
can't
up?
remember. I think it might have been Homelander who allowed the V to leak. So there could be been foreign soups, and then that justifies Homelander's plan.
Yeah, because he wanted to go and fight create a Osama bin Laden type evil character type villain for everybody to hate on, I guess, or universally hate on, but it kind of backfires a little bit. But in any case, not backfires. There's a whole bunch of unintended consequences that spiral out from everybody's actions, which are also very interesting to go into. But for that, I'm looking forward to this Friday and seeing it. The next
hopefully they have the episode out. I heard apparently last week they were late getting the episode up, and people were pissed.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah, apparently they were late getting the episode up because I guess the episodes are supposed to go out at midnight, and of course, there are people just sitting there parked at midnight to watch the episodes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I will guarantee you, by the time we get to the very last episode, just for sheer weight of it, unless I want to save it for just preserving it. Sometimes I like to do that. I like to preserve, kind of freeze it in the season and come back to it to enjoy it, because sometimes there's slim pickings out there for good entertaining things, and you want to make it last a little bit.
This is the only thing I'm watching that's not anime right now. So I don't watch Marvel movies anymore. Don't do Star Wars. Don't do any of like the big franchise stuff. So something that kind of feels a little bit different, that feels a little bit new, that isn't so big. Well, so for example, we just talked about, are there foreign superheroes? Well, in this continuity, the television series, we don't know, but it's left some imagination space. I don't think that's maybe something that the TV series wants to talk about, especially right now. So that's something for us to speculate on about our own. There's some imagination space. They haven't filled in every nook and cranny of the borders of this universe, and that in itself is refreshing. It gives you room to imagine. It gives you rooms to guess. It gives you room to tell your own stories about certain unexplained aspects of the universe.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's something that is sorely lacking in our culture today, or in our world. Like I said, less is more. I'm not naive about this. In 2 or 3 years, we're gonna be up the gills. I have no doubt. But before that happens, we can enjoy it while it lasts. But,
I don't know. I'll be honest, and this is not me. This is not an indictment on The Boys. It's a series I think excellent. I don't know that it has the legs to get to a big enough thing that it's saturated.
Yeah, that could be the point. It might not reach the level of popularity that I'm envisioning. But I hate to strike a cynical view on it, but in any case, but regardless of my cynical view, I almost forgot. There was a let out. I guess Karl Urban was at South by Southwest, and he stopped by the Variety booth, or they found him or whatever, and he let it spill that they are in fact going to have a season 4. So it's confirmed, which is cool. This is I believe this is primary source that was where it came from, but he let it slip. But that's cool. I haven't read this. I should probably go back and read this, but just for the purposes of talking about, there is in fact a season 4. So that's which I'm grateful for, at least for good things to watch.
I feel like this was probably decided before season 3 even started, but obviously, I think I read viewership is up 17% from season 2. That's healthy growth. If you think about how many people are subscribed to Amazon Prime and just can watch this as is, and then I don't know what the rights are like overseas. Like I believe in Japan, it's shown on Amazon Prime there. I don't know how it works in other countries. My guess, there's nowhere where it's on Disney Plus. That would be my guess.
Yeah, nor that maybe only through the I forget what they call it, but the where you can rent an episode maybe if anything. But I don't even think that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see Amazon really locking that stuff down to like not sell something like that, but who knows? Because I mean, for crying out loud, I would have never thought in a million years when Apple was out that we would actually see Apple TV be expanded to non-Apple devices, and that in fact is the case. So they're not dummies. They know money can be had by all. If you have it's just common sense. If you sell to more locations and more devices, then you're going to have more money. Imagine that.
Amazon Prime is an interesting one to be sure. Mostly because like there's no one. I think there are probably not no one, but there are probably some people who have a Netflix subscription just that's tied to something else. But Amazon Prime is something where everyone has it tied to something else, or Prime Video, which is Amazon Prime. So if you think about it, everything on Amazon Prime has a potentially large user base. It just comes down to who it pulls in.
It's true.
I think that The Boys is probably more popular than Invincible, but maybe not so much more popular than Invincible is. I feel like there's a pretty sizable crossover for those two series.
I absolutely agree with you, and there's no doubt in my mind that The Boys at this stage is far and away bigger than Invincible. I don't think Invincible is something that even the comic book nerds are talking about too much, and like the at least the super nerdy comic book channels that I follow and sub channels on YouTube. They're aware of it, but we're talking about channels that have like maybe 500K subscribers. Nothing like in the millions that I'm aware of, or tens of millions. Maybe put a low cap on it.
I think when Invincible was airing, I think it got a lot of conversation. It's one of those things that it's not going to have a lot of people talking about it in between seasons. So like I'm assuming they're planning on doing a second season, and I think you'll start to see the comic channels again starting to talk about the comic more then. Apparently they got a nice boost in the sales of the volumes, so that's a rare
books.
Oh yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not like Demon Slayer for manga where your like sales are going up eightfold or anything like that, but it seems like they got like a nice little extra kick. I think there is an audience for Invincible that didn't know they were into Invincible until they saw the animated series.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I fell harder into the comic book side of Invincible than I did on the Boys, to be honest with you. It just seemed like it. I don't know. Maybe that's related to being animated. I don't know. But like, I definitely got a lot more immersed myself in the Invincible comic book world than I did with the Boys.
Right.
But it's just interesting. That, and then probably the only other mega super successful show that is not Disney, Marvel, or even DC, I would argue would be The Walking Dead. But
Walking Dead, yeah, that's I have not. So I never really watched the Walking Dead television series, and the reason why is that, well, I got introduced to the Walking Dead through reading the comics, and as you know, the comics, the television series starts kind of going on a different path, divulging from or diverting from the comics
Source
very,
material,
very early on, and I just didn't
they did.
like that. Generally speaking, I'm the type of person who doesn't like it when adapted media starts straying particularly far away from what it's adapting. But The Boys would be one exception, because from what I've read of and read about the comics, it's not going to be something I'm going to want to read. A little bit too edgy, a little bit too just kind of like trying too hard to like kind of like get a rise out of you. But the series, I don't feel like is doing that.
No, not at all. And again, this goes back to this absolutely separates good from great, in my opinion, where you have a creative team that can give you a good vision in the director's mind of what this world would be like translated to a different media, and the really good ones can do it perfect. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but
Right.
in any case, but kind of pulling it back in, like, we love The Boys.
Yeah,
Essentially,
great.
long,
Really, really
yeah,
good series. Looking forward to the next episode. Next episode. Well, actually, we're already mid-season. We're
yeah,
just episode 4. We got 4 more episodes, and then we got a drought for another like year and a half. I'd like to hope that they could start decreasing the amount of time between seasons. But that said, I'd much rather that they keep the quality up. And obviously, there's still COVID restrictions with travel. I don't think
there
they
are.
filmed I think they filmed The Boys in Canada.
Hmm.
Um,
Maybe Vancouver, where they have a lot of second Hollywood or whatever up there. I think that's where they do a lot of filming. I have no idea, but that would be interesting to
right.
know
So
for next week.
quality takes time, but yeah, after these 3 episodes, we're not going to really have anything until probably 2020, late 2023, maybe 2024 would be my
Yeah.
guess. You have Diabolical, the animated spinoff, but like that's not going to be for everyone.
Sure.
It's out there. Um,
Have you seen it yet or watched it
I
yet?
watched another episode. So the first episode, I think we showed a little bit of last week, and that's kind of based on an old like Looney Tunes type cartoon. The second episode is kind of more Rick and Morty style, like it's a Justin Roiland joint. There's the third episode. Then the third episode was done by the people who do the animation for Invincible, and it's actually based off of the comic. So you have the part of Huey being played by Simon Pegg, who plays Huey's dad in the television series. And that's a callback to the fact that in the comics, Huey looks like Simon Pegg. And Simon Pegg is only not playing him because he's a little bit too old for the role now.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's true. It's funny. I watched one of Simon Pegg's in the Cornet trilogy, but anyway, something I didn't know about. Anyway, all these things are tied in together. Yeah, I need to get on the ball, and I need to get to where you're at, so we can actually have a conversation about it.
So yeah, I just watched episode 3.
Okay. Yeah, I need to catch up. But outside of like just reviewing it or keeping up with it, would that have been something you normally would have stuck with or watched? In all honesty.
Honestly, it's the connection to The Boys that's keeping me going. Like, and I'm not sure I'm gonna finish it. Like, I'm just kind of hard up for Boys related media, and it's like, okay, why not? Just because I like this universe, even though the animated series, those different anthology episodes, there's the spirit of the episode. Like they have Homelander show up, and I think Antony Starr plays Homelander, so they have actors from the television series involved. But it's kind of like, I'm not a big. Just as an aside, I'm not a big fan of anime in anthology form. I prefer anime in kind of either movie form or in serialized form. I'm not gonna say never. It's been a long time since I saw an anime I liked in anthology. Katsuhiro Otomo's Dreams. Was that it? I think that might have been it. It was an anthology, and it had like a couple of different series, or like little stories, but it was a movie anthology, so it was like super high quality animation. The animation and Diabolic, not it. I'm not gonna say it's terrible, but it's like one episode's Rick and Morty animation, and if you don't like a Rick and Morty animation, you're not gonna like it. Another one is the Invincible animation style. If you don't like that sort of like American, meaning actually Korean art style, then you're not gonna get into it. I don't think. I wish they'd gotten like an anime episode, like they'd gotten a Japanese studio to come in and do an episode.
That probably would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not as familiar on the anime side. Matter of fact, I just saw Akira for the first time not too long ago, so I'm getting up there. But there's a lot of cool stuff that I'm looking forward to being able to.
Akira's a great start.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was blown away.
Not where most anime fans kind of get introduced now, but that would be like a person much younger than us. That would be like someone who's a teenager. They would not get introduced to anime through Akira, but
oh no, God no. They would. There's like a litany of other ones that even I know probably have heard of. In my pathetic small scope of media. But anyway, all the better for me to experience it for the first time. That's for sure. It's just interesting. I need to see this. I need to check it out. Yeah, I think I would make that same commitment, like where I'm in until I'm not. Because I want to be sincere when I see something, and I want to what I'm viewing. I want to watch. I want it to be at least. And it doesn't have to be amazing, not at all. God knows I watch a lot of other crap, but in any case. This is definitely going to be one that I'm going to get caught up with you on, and I agree. I'm starting to get that itch.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn it! I know this is going to be over sooner than later, and that's it. It might be fun to do a rewatch for the season.
You were talking about the possibility of saturation. I think where we'll see if likely to happen will be with this spinoff. If the spinoff does well, then yes, they'll probably do more. But if the spinoff just kind of does okay, or the spinoff doesn't take off, then
of course, minus or allowing for terrible storylines and terrible crafting. So like that could also be in the equation. I don't know. I'm not saying that, but it could be always a possibility that it just sucks. And if it sucks, it gets cut. But right. I don't think that's the case from what I've heard anyway. But then again, that's funny too. Like outside of you, like I haven't heard anybody talking about this series. And that's obviously dumb, Mike, because The Boys is on. But running up to this, whenever this was released, was it this year or was it? 2012, yeah, or 2022. Good grief, the year we're in. In any case. Aside from that, I think we're good. I think we've mined out what we can, and I essentially this is a long. We love The Boys.
We love The Boys.
It's fine by me. Like they keep it up. Less is more. Please God, don't run it. Don't oversaturate it. Yeah. And with that, I think we're rolling up on the end here. And I can't wait to join you next week and talk about season 3, episode 5. And I've been Mike.
I'm Justin.
And this has been State of the Giants, and we'll see you later.
Peace.